the fact that ARR actually managed to, achieve a move like that, right? The fact that AR managed to achieve a move like that is just, I mean, absolutely impressive. Okay. I never expected this to do stuff like this. I wanted this to die so that we can have room for some other tickers to go. But we have to respect the volume. All right. Now we'll go through some of the thought process as to why I did this and that, and then we'll answer some questions at the end, and then we'll call it. Okay. So now to start off the morning, there were a lot of things moving, but nothing really concrete. The one that actually really broke out this morning was ARR, and that's the reason why I took my entries over here, right? That's the reason why I took my entries over here. Okay, at 828. Now we look at this over here, right? You can see that this price gapped up from, you can call it a flag or whatever you guys want to call it. So laggy and stuff. But for me, it was just like a nice consolidation build over here. And then the candle broke out from this consolidation build and started to form a base over here. Now, I was still very skeptical at this point of time, right? Because I'm not too sure whether this thing has the strength to continue going through. Because remember, pre-market was very, very slow, right? There wasn't anything going on. Um, and once we have this retest of this resistance and support and price broken out, I have a couple of levels, right? I had a couple of levels that I drew on my chart that I was like, okay, you know what, this is actually looking pretty good. I wanted to get in earlier, but the thing is that I was being patient, I was waiting for more confirmation, but the price has jumped and I was like, okay, you know what, this is one of the better ones to look at. So I have a key level over here. It's a pretty good price action separation level, all right, on this 155 zone. Right, on this 155 zone, as you guys can see, right, it's a pretty strong, resistance level, right? Candle just have, a lot of difficulty breaking out on it. And even if it does break out from it, it became support, right? You guys can see, look at this line over here. You guys can see that, right? So when the price is underneath the line, it became resistance, 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 resistance. When it's above the line, it became support. So this 155 over here is a strong key level for me. And the fact that the price was actually able to break out from this was what made it very attractive to me. Look at the price. Look at the price action. Look at the candles. It was a very clean setup, right? And this is also one of the reasons why. This is also one of the reasons why for my first alert on ARR, right? I was in at 155. Now, of course, I could keep it as tight to go under 155, but I didn't want to keep it so tight. So that's why my stop loss is going to be underneath 140. At the point of time, it was 135 and stuff, right? I wanted to stop underneath these higher lows, so around 135. But as we trend up, then I started to use the 20 EMA trend line as my trend support over here, right? So once we popped up over here, I raised my stops up. Again, always remember when you take profits on the way up, you raise the stops up as well, just in case. Because remember, in pre-market, what is the one thing that can distract us, right? Volume rotation. Let's say this move happened over here at 8:30. From 8:30 to 9, from 9 onwards, there might be still companies that drop press releases that what takes attention away from us. But this is what I said as well, right? If there is no volume rotation bullshit, room to 170 and 2. And you guys can see there was nothing, right? There was nothing that came along, and we actually got our move to $2. And that was a beautiful trade over here. All right, this was a beautiful trade over here. Okay, and then I didn't really expect that this to move too much because we also had a bit of a move on AIFF. Now, one of the reasons why I do not really like this ticker over here for AIFF is because if you look at the recent historical price action, right? This ticker, whenever it has PR, this is what happens, right? It pumps up and then it just dies. It pumps up and it just dies, right? So I wasn't too hopeful of this, doing a strong move to the upside. Of course, remember it's never 100%, right? There's always potential for it to do that EOD squeeze move or rather the morning squeeze move, right? But it's on the it's on the higher chance that it will not do it. So that's why I was a little skeptical. And plus, it's not only just this, but also the fact that ARR was hogging so much volume. Look, it wasn't even breaking down. I was expecting this to pull back or something like that, but it never did. You can see that in the morning, a lot of the price, keep going down, but we just kept getting buyers stepping in, pushing the price up. You see all these wicks over here, right? It just tells you that the price goes down, but price keeps going up. And what's more, we're hitting all the levels that I put out, right? We couldn't break the 240, right? The 240 is the highest level in our range, which is gonna set this to really unlock the next set of levels, right? But let me show you guys. Shit. Let me just 1 second. Yeah, whenever I share my Zoom screen, things just become super laggy for some reason. I don't know why. Zoom sucks. But puts that shit. Okay. All right. Okay. So if we look at this over here, all right, let's remove everything. All right, we marked the levels down. You guys have the levels down as well, right? You guys have the levels down that I gave you guys. Going to this, right? We basically clear everything. I mean, 235 is essentially the same as 240, okay? But why is it after 240 is where things can start to be interesting is because if we look at this chart over here, a lot of range, right? A lot of range. The first set of levels that really separates us, okay, it's going to be this over here, right? You guys see it? Do you guys see? In the grand scheme of things, all right, in the overall picture, when price is above this line, it trades like that over here. Then when price is below this line, rejection, 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 it trades underneath this zone. So this 240 over here is a super big price action separation. For us to unlock all these levels on the side, right? All these levels on the side to the upside, all these over here, right? To maybe 260 to 350, maybe even like 4 plus and whatnot, we need to clear 240. If not, what happened to price when price stayed below 240? What happens? Goes down, correct? This is the pattern, right? As price cannot breach over 240, it goes near it. What happens is that the price eventually goes down, and this is what happened today. You guys see that? Price was unable to break 240. It hit as high as 235, and it couldn't break out from 240, and that's the reason why price went down. And this is just how it is, right? We can never really be too sure that, hey, you know what, we have to kind of hold and hope and whatnot. Again, guys, price doesn't care. All right, price does not care. Okay. So of course, going to open over here, there is absolutely no way I could give you guys any sort of re-entries over here because this thing is already up more than 100% going to open, right? So it was very extended. What I needed is for this to pull back, at least a pullback over here. But then it started ramping even higher, which makes a lot of other tickers unable to really showcase their potential. Right? And this is also, I think, one of the reasons why I think if you guys realize, other than these random Chinese bullshit that we have, right? Other than this random Chinese bullshit that we have throughout the day, organically speaking, right? All the good setups that we have, none of them are actually really moving. Because ARR did not break down in time for these setups over here to receive the potential that they need to go. Right. So even if let's just say ARR breaks down in after hours, right? Or maybe near power hour it breaks down. AIFF is in no condition to receive the volume rotation. It's not set up for it. You understand? Let me just put it this way for you guys, right? So let's just say, for example, we have a stock trading like this, right? This is a beautiful ascending triangle pattern, correct? And we also have another stock that's trading like this. Okay, it's not breaking out, it's not breaking down. But this stock over here, it has a lot of volume. This one doesn't really have as much, right? So when this thing starts breaking down, okay, and this thing also, and then this thing breaks down maybe at 2 p.m. Eastern, right? 2 p.m. Eastern, okay, at 2 p.m. Eastern. And let's say this thing starts breaking down at 3 p.m. Eastern. Okay, let's say this thing starts breaking down at 3 p.m. Eastern. This position over here is no longer in any position to receive the volume rotation for that structure breakout because the structure has already broken down. You understand? Right? So that's why timing is very important as well, right? Whenever we have two tickets running, as much as we can, we want to see the ticker that we're in, right? Hold uptrend while the ticker that we're not in but holding a lot of volume quickly break down. So this way we can have the best volume rotation getting to us. Now, if you guys were joining my midday voice just now, you guys can clearly see that there was clear volume rotation between not this, it was between ARR and the other one ticker. What was the one ticker? HKPD, right? You guys remember? If we look at this over here, it was momentary. It wasn't anything special, but from this 1048 candle when the price went down, ALLR at 1048 had signs of life, isn't it? 1048 was 1048 candle over here, right? You can see had a bit of signs of life all the way to going from $2 to 214, right? It had a bit of sign of life, right? So you can see this is why timing is very important. So you can see even right now, this is already broken down from structure. Let's just say that, Nuke breaks down or, whatever HKPD breaks down, then this is, it doesn't matter anymore because this is in no position to receive the volume for a push, right? Instead, the volume is going to go into some other tickers like maybe TTNP right now because I see that popping, right? Volume is probably going to rotate into this right now. You guys understand? Maybe volume doesn't really care about this anymore. They're just gonna go into this right now, right? They're not gonna care about AR anymore because the structure has already broken down. So that's why timing is very important, and also making sure that our setup that sits at the timing is also stays very important. Okay, when there is a lot of runners this this after hours, it's very tricky. I don't like it. How is this? The fuck? Yeah, it's not the nah. All right, so that's why that's why I was being very patient because I know I couldn't take the risk, right? I couldn't take the risk. What if I added AIFF and stuff? You see, this is what happened, right? I added AIFF. Okay, I added AIFF. I thought this breakout was gonna happen. Okay, and the structure was good, right? The reason why I took it was because of this downtrend breakout over here. Let me show you guys, right? It was because of this downtrend breakout over here. But AIALR, which is the main volume hugger during the morning, didn't break down, right? It started squeezing up instead. Well, this is 1018, right? This is 1018. Let me see what the candle on. I don't think it was 1018, but probably somewhere close to that. Or it's 950 something, right? We almost tried to break out from it, but then we couldn't. And then when we had such a massive rejection, and I started to see ALR not breaking down, I had to get out. I didn't buy the dips over here. But would I still have tried it regardless? I still would have tried it because this is a breakout. And look, if let's say this thing actually breaks out and the ARR at the point of time actually fully breaks down, this thing could have went crazy. Could have. Right? But you see, we can't really control stuff like this, right? So always when we enter a play, we gotta have a plan. What we're gonna do, what we're gonna do if it doesn't work out, so on and so forth. All these is gonna help you out with understanding whether this ticker is going to go or not. And if it doesn't go, so be it. I'm not going to stay and hop on it, right? I closed my position over here, and you see, if I held on to it, if I played around the dips, I probably would have been green. But what if I stayed in this and ARR continues to explode? This might actually just continue going down. So that's why for me, okay, once I get confirmation that the price retests this 200 EMA over here, and get a very nice bounce instead of basing above the EMAs, this is where it was good for re-entries. And I alerted this to you guys on voice as well, right? I told you guys to take the 330 to 318 stop loss under the 1 minute 200 EMA, right? And we got a nice reversal move to 3.5. But unfortunately, of course, this is the area where a lot of the shorts were rejecting the price action, and you guys can see, it's the same thing. We never had any sort of structure shift. So you can't really expect too much out of this. Yeah, you can't really expect too much out of this. But the idea was there, right? I did tell you guys. What did I tell you guys, right? What did I say in the morning? What did I specifically say in the morning? This is probably going to be one of those days where you log base hits. And it is. Why? Because ARR was volume hogging. It was very difficult for any play to sustain and to go parabolic like the ones you see. Nuke was different. This is again, one of the news pop play, right? It was a quick play for us as well, but you can see it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't because all the volume was just still in ARR. when this thing was breaking down, AR was still consolidating. Not sure whether it wants to break out into EOD or break down. But once we got this answer that it was going to break down EOD, what setup was holding up for us to trade? Nothing. There was no setup that was holding up to trade because everything has really broken down because they got tired of waiting for AR to break down. They break down first. Right? So when they all broke down and then ARR was the last to break down, there was just no volume for anywhere to go anymore. Which is why I said this. I don't think they will see any setup from the EOD right now. Unless we get something new again like Nuke. But if not, impossible. I mean, very high chance we won't see anything. Because of the volume hogging that AR had. Right? Because of the volume hogging that AR had. This fucking ticker is special cash dividend. It's 80 cents a share. I think people might actually buy this for that. That's the reason why it's pumping on the 29th. But you got to be a shareholder on the 15th. By the 15th. If you buy after the 15th, you will not be entitled to the dividend over here. This is fucking stupid. But yeah. Okay, so it's all in all, it's a pretty it wasn't a slow day by any chance. It wasn't a slow day by any chance, but it was definitely one of those days where you don't overtrade because of ARR. You don't really get you don't really get any sort of I would say how am I supposed to put this? So I just forgot what I wanted to say and stuff. But holy shit. But yeah, I mean you get the gist. You get the gist, right? So it was yeah, okay, I remember it. It wasn't a slow day, okay, but it was one of those days where you don't overtrade and you really just focus on the ticker that's just holding up the volume. Or if anything new pops up, because Nuke was a new play, right? It dropped the news and it went up like that. If it didn't drop the news, this wouldn't happen. So this is a new play, but it doesn't really happen on a day-to-day basis, right? Intraday news does not really happen on a day-to-day basis. So yeah. Okay, now we talk about Nuke right now, right? Well, let's talk about Nuke right now and how you guys could have traded this. Now, of course, generally when you guys are in a play like that, it's literally impossible to alert entries. If you guys were actually watching Nuke's price action, you would know that it's generally impossible to alert entries. It's impossible. Right? You just cannot alert entries over here. I mean, you saw how quick it is. So the best way for me to kind of guide you guys to play over here is to give you guys a clear plan of what you need to do. Now, when I give this play over here, this was halted up, right? So that's why I understand sometimes when it halts, it might open up a little bit way too big. So I just decided to tell you guys, you know what? If it opens above 725, just add it and then grab the dips and respect your stop loss in the 730. And I know that the range over here is pretty big, right? Because this thing halted up over here. It opened up at 880. Now I got my first entries over here at $9, by the way, just FYI. And then I grabbed some dips at 860s, right? And I was ready to stop out under 770. Okay, now because this is such a big gap up, right? I didn't want to respect my stop loss of 730 anymore. Right? I was just thinking maybe it might be a small, or rather a weak breakout. So I decided to use this 730. But you guys already know this is a massive breakout over 775. Right? This was a massive breakout over 775. I don't need to use 730 as my stop loss because I could just use this key level over here. Right? So I got my dips and stuff, but it's fine. Right? The range might be a lot bigger, but it's because this ticker just made a move from $4 to $8 in just 4 candles. So this ticker will definitely have a lot of range. Are you going to be sitting inside this play for 20 cents moves? No. Which is why my first profit taking area was when it hit $10. And then after that, it hits 11.15, which was good. And then, but you see, this is another thing that I said as well, right? What did I say? because of how volatile this is, I trim most 25% left, right? This is at 1040. And then 1175 is blah, 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 blah. As it hit more, I just got 15% left. I set the stop loss for the rest at $8, which I will give some profits back for sure, right? This is underneath my profits, but this is where I started to respect the structure, right? This is where I started to respect the structure. Now, I wanted to see if price can hold on to this, tweezer top over here that turned into support, right? This is roughly around 825. But why did I say $8 then? It's because this thing has range, right? It fluctuates in 20 cents. So that's why I give it at 8. And I'm okay with it, risking some profits because it's only 15% of my position, right? And I trim a lot out during the pop. I cannot be that one person that, it's look, this ticker went from $4 to $11 in just a few minutes. And you remember what I told you guys before? When the ticker goes very high up in a very short amount of time, okay, it's generally not sustainable, right? This thing made 100+% move in just a few minutes. I mean, we don't count the halt timings, but in just a few minutes, right? If you tell me there's consolidation stuff, fine, but there isn't any. It just keeps halting up. Okay, so, but it was still a nice move, right? If you respected the plan, like I said, add it on open, grab this, and stop on 730 or 775, which is the breakout level, right? You can see it open up over here. You add it, take the dips. So you might not be full. You might want to get more dips over here. That's fine, but you can grab some. This thing still made a $3 move or $2 move from entries. So I would say that's pretty good. All right, I would say that's pretty extra good. Okay, all right. Now remember, it has to be relative. Okay, I'm not. When I give a wide stop loss, there is a reason. It's because this ticker has range. I would never tell you guys to be adding a stock at $1 and stop loss under 50 cents because the ticker does not have range, right? Stop loss under 50 cents is crazy. That's a 50% loss, right? That's a 50% loss. Okay, so that's why I do not, right? I do not, ever tell you guys to do that. But when it comes to tickers where I feel like there's potential, the stop loss is wider. But you got to play around dips as well because the stop loss is wider. And you see all these over here are so quick. Imagine if I tell you guys, hey, I took the 860 dip. But you know what? This type of price over here is where the price just tap 860s, maybe for 2-3 seconds, right? But I added, I had to type it out for you guys. By the time you guys see it, it's probably gonna be at 938. So how would you guys be able to be like, oh, PPT's at 860s and stuff, Now, when I see it right now it's 930s. It's hard for you guys to catch it, right? So that's why I tell you guys just respect it. Just respect the plan. Add it on open, find dips if you're given. If sometimes you might not be given, it's fine. Right, but that's why we add some first, and then we respect the plan. Okay, but is this a proper structure for a trade? It's not. There is no consolidation, there is no setup, there's nothing. This, I would say, it's more chasing momentum of a key level breakout. That's literally what we are doing on this. So we cannot really have a proper structured plan over here because it doesn't have any structure. It just swings up and down too much like that. Okay, but these are the type of plays where it gets super exciting too. So that's why it's worth just putting some money inside. Even if you have like 50 shares over here, this would get you $100+ profits. I think that's pretty good. You know what I mean? For extra profits, I would say this is not too bad. Okay. All right. So I mean, but all in all, it's a pretty slow day. I know after hours, pre-market has been pretty weak as well. So I'm not really that interested in trading that. I think NBY is very interesting though because of this special dividend stuff. But and we're also inside a gap, as you guys can see. I drew this one before, maybe room to 190 stuff. But let me see. Also, this is running on Double News today. Right, this is running on Double News today. It announces special cash dividend plus 13D shows David E. Lazar reported a 19.99 stake percent as of August 19th. That's pretty far away. But yeah, it's running on Double News, so that's pretty crazy. I'll definitely be watching this for tomorrow in pre-market. All right. The fact that we do have room to fill the gap over here. The fact that we do have room to fill the gap over here is pretty crazy. All right, it's pretty crazy. This was from multiple days ago. But that's low, way too high for me right now. I would prefer to see some dips instead. Right, which right. And it's healthcare too. Healthcare recently has been pretty hot, so we'll see. Although the news over here has nothing to do with healthcare, but yeah. But you see, other than this, will there be new stuff tomorrow? For sure. Maybe something changes tomorrow. Maybe some tech ticker drop news and it goes crazy and then theme changes, right? Algorithm chase the theme stuff. Might happen. So that's why this is this is one of the concentrating pre-market. You have to be a watch. You have to really watch out for potential volumetation. But otherwise, if there is no volumetation from you, then the one ticker that you're looking at, it's just gonna go very smoothly, like ARR did in pre-market today for us, right? Because there was no one taking volume from us. This was the main watch, and this is the only one that went. Yeah, but I'll be watching MBR for sure. This might be very interesting on double PR. Yeah, it's a low floater too, right? But not today. Probably not today. Just gonna let it relax. Okay, all right. Any questions, guys? Are you still in open? Yes, I'm still in open. Guys, my plan has been pretty solid. You know, I think I've given you guys my stop loss entries for the rest of shares so that you can pretty much just chill. If you guys are in this with me. OPEC stop loss is what? $3, right? Did we hit $3 today? No, I'm still in some. Open stop loss is 350. Did we hit 350 today? No. So I'm still in some. Okay, and these are physical stop loss and stuff, right? So if it hit, it hit. I mean, I don't need to update. I've really let you guys know. Okay, that I'm no longer in on this. Right? I mean, I'm still in, but I have a stop loss set. So whatever happens, happens. Hey Dion, can when you say play around this, can you give some examples? Yeah, sure. 1 second. Okay, so when I say play around dips, okay, what I'm trying to tell you guys is that this ticker might give you guys some dips to play around with. Right, we take Nuke for example. Okay, maybe on open you added some, right? And then if it starts dipping down, you can grab it. That's really all I meant, right? Because I understand that the ticker might be volatile, so I don't want you guys to just stick to. And plus, the range of stop loss is quite big sometimes, so I want you guys to play around dips and stuff, right? Same thing for ARR. You know, it's like for example, if I see this thing trading in a channel, right? Maybe you guys can add somewhere 196 over here. It goes to 206. You trim some, right? It goes back down and bounce off a bit. You can grab some dips over here as well, right? This is what I mean. It's like, for example, if you have a channel, okay? So over here you see price clearly doing this, right? You see price clearly doing this, okay? So when I say this, what I'm telling you guys is that, okay, you know what, guys? Okay, you guys can add over here, right? Look to sell over here, Okay, and if it doesn't break out, right, you can play around the dips again until this thing breaks down. That's what I mean. So you can you just basically rinse and repeat until the structure either breaks out or breaks down. And if it breaks down, of course, you close your position and then you move on because the structure is broken down. That's what I meant. I bought Nuke at 11:15 today. Still, I think you're trolling, man. No, AIFF for me, I'm gonna risk the same, right? So unless the play is lottos or I don't have a lot of confidence in, when it's a new ticker, all right, I don't have any difference in how I manage my trades. But if it's an existing ticker I'm going in, then I will probably play around with profits. But if it's a new ticker, I do not, unless of course it's like low volume stuff, right? Unless of course it's low volume stuff, then okay, fine. But if not, I wouldn't discriminate it because it's a fresh play. I got to treat it like a fresh play. Either I go in smaller, right, or I risk around with some profits. Sometimes because the first play went so nicely, uh, that I made quite a bit, right? Maybe on the second re-entries and stuff, I can risk a little bit more than what I usually risk, but it's all profits anyway. So yes, in general, yes, because I don't need to overtrade. I don't need to overtrade. I don't need to overtrade, right? So there's no need for me to look for re-entries. I could be done, honestly. With this, whatever happened in ARR this morning, I could be done with it. I could be done with it already. Why do I need to trade again? You know what I mean? Like if let's say for those of you guys who really want to day trade as a site, right? On the side, you why do you have to continue? You know what I mean? Why do you have to continue? You don't have to. You make your money, you're done, you're done. But this is one of the benefits that I'm okay with. It's one of the benefits that I'm okay with. Okay, one second, guys. Let me pause the recording over here.